This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
China's crude oil imports plunged in October to the lowest since September 2018, as large state-owned refiners withheld purchases because of rising prices while independent refiners were restrained by limited quotas to import. The world's biggest crude oil importer brought in 37.8 million tons last month. Data from the General Administration of Customs showed on Sunday, equivalent to 8.9 million barrels per day, BPD. That is down from 9.99 million barrels of oil per day in September and 10.02 million barrels of oil per day in the same period last year.
Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia has raised the price differential of its flagship crude to Asia by more than double in December versus November, exceeding market expectations and sending a bullish signal to the global oil market, traders said. The sharper-than-expected price hike comes after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, a group known as OPEC+, agreed last week to maintain a production hike of 400,000 barrels per day, BPD, for December despite consumers' calls for higher output. On Saturday, state oil giant Saudi Aramco hiked the official selling price, OSP, for Arab light crude by $1.40 to $2.70 a barrel above the average of Platts Dubai and DME Oman prices in December, its highest level since September.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama on Monday lent his backing to appeals for more help from those on the front line of global warming, as developing and rich nations engage to try to end years of deadlock over cash for climate change. At the start of the second and final week of the UN climate talks in Glasgow, known as COP26, ministers got down to the detail of trying to honor promises to pay for climate-linked losses and damages, and to address how to help nations adapt to the effects of climate change. We have to act now to help with adaptation and resilience, Obama told a meeting of island nations at the Glasgow talks, adding his views on the immediacy of the threat had been shaped by his experience growing up in Hawaii.
Oil prices rose on Monday as positive signs for global economic growth supported the outlook for energy demand, and the United States said it was weighing options to address high prices. Brent crude was up by 70 cents, or 0.9%, at $83.44 a barrel at 12:55 GMT, after dropping nearly 2% last week. U.S. oil gained 80 cents, or 1%, to $82.07, having declined almost 3% through Friday. U.S. President Joe Biden on Saturday welcomed congressional passage of a long-delayed $1 trillion infrastructure bill, which may boost growth and demand for fuel. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. The United Arab Emirates will require all gold refineries to undergo annual audits to ensure their suppliers are responsible, it told Reuters, in an effort to combat illicit trading. Industry figures said this should raise standards in the UAE, one of the world's biggest bullion trade hubs, but may also shift flows of gold linked to crime or human rights abuses to other countries, for example in Africa, where the number of gold refineries is growing rapidly. A Reuters investigation in 2019 found that UAE took in gold worth billions of dollars smuggled from Africa, some of it mined in grim and polluting conditions in countries in conflict.
China's copper imports in October rose for a second month, customs data showed on Sunday, as traders took advantage of a short period of favorable pricing to bring in bonded inventories of the metal. Arrivals of unwrought copper and products into top copper consumer China were 410,541.3 tons last month, the General Administration of Customs said. That was up from 406,015.6 tons in September but down 33.6% from a year earlier. Imports in the first 10 months of 2021 were down 21% year-on-year at 4.43 million tons.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Big U.S. harvests, near-perfect weather for planting in Brazil and signs of slowing purchases by top buyer China are bolstering supplies of two of the top globally traded commodities, soy and corn. The rising stocks indicate that prices for those key crops, as well as for other staples such as sugar and coffee, may have peaked after the surge sparked by the onset of the pandemic, farmers, brokers and analysts said. Lower crop prices would be good news for consumers after global food prices soared to the highest level in a decade, according to the United Nations Food Agency.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.